Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm so glad to be spending another Friday with five things with you. And I have a special guest author who I cannot wait to introduce you to. But first, I want to know what's on the agenda for your weekend. I am going to be binge watching the old Pride and Prejudice, the BBC original with Colin Firth, because BritBox just re-released it completely digitally enhanced. And so it is basically my favorite of all time. And come on, Colin Firth, the tech guy, and our kiddo are very excited because there's some new Star Wars game, Squadrons, that they downloaded last night when it came out at midnight. So they're going to be all in for their Star Wars game. So it's going to be me and Mr. Darcy for the weekend, which I am very excited about it. Do you love BritBox too? It's the best, isn't it? I found so many gems. And then, of course, all those classic originals too. Okay, so on Tuesday's live, we had a very intense discussion about Christmas, but which I'm sure we will revive again later this, or maybe next week, maybe next Tuesday. How's that? Well, Leanne's going to go with her niece for a CPR class. Oh, very nice. I love that. I know I was just talking with my guest about the whole idea of like what it's like right now for this generation of kids in a pandemic. So many issues, but I think the resounding feeling we all have is that they're going to be fine. They're going to build some strong resiliency skills through this process. That's what I'm putting out there anyway. Okay, so we're going to talk Halloween today though, because as I mentioned on Tuesday's live, I am a firm believer that we should have no Christmas until after Thanksgiving. And come on, it's Halloween. So on top of maybe binging some Pride and Prejudice, I might work on decking out our house. Mary's headed to the beach. That sounds like a great way to spend your weekend. Have fun at the beach. You need a beach read to go with it, which is a perfect segue into talking about my guest today. I have gotten to know my guest through social media over the last few years because we share an admiration for another delightful series that is the Miss Fisher Mysteries. Shoot us a thumbs up or a like if you love the Miss Fisher Mysteries. I am over the moon for them. I've binged them all. Yeah, that's right. No Christmas until Thanksgiving. Yes, thank you, Lillian. There's some backup for me. I'm just totally over the moon over Miss Fisher. And so my guest today, Jenny Kales, is on, and we're going to talk Miss Fisher first, but she's also here to talk about her Halloween themed book. That's right, Halloween. Dun, dun, dun. A Stew to Kill. Ha, look at that. And she's going to give away a copy to one of you. So make sure you engage in put your questions in the comments as we have our discussion, because at some point in time, she's going to give away a signed copy for somebody on this live today. However, you have to be in the United States or Canada, continental US or Canada to win it. Okay, so without further ado, let me welcome Jenny.
Hi!
Yay!
I'm so happy to be here today and to hear you talk about Pride and Prejudice and Miss Fisher in like the first couple of minutes. I'm set now because I love that version of, like, I'm a Colin Firth fanatic. So right. I have to watch that. I don't have BritBox though. I do have the DVD, and I have a Making of Pride and Prejudice book that show it's amazing. Like it has all the the backstory, and apparently Colin was very freaked out before he went to audition, and he hadn't been acting for a long time. So this was like his big chance, and apparently he was ill like before he had to audition. And then look at what happened. It like launched his whole career. So, and then of course Miss Fisher, my ultimate favorite. I have her hair, and I love her. So she's so much fun. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I have to know, did you have the hair before Miss Fisher, or did Miss Fisher inspire? Okay.
I did have the hair, and I've had it for a while. And then when I saw her, I was like, wow, I think I need to watch this show. So I just, and I do admit now that the show is out there, I bring pictures of her to my stylist. I'll be like, this is what I need. This is it. And so the hair came before the show, but like if it hadn't, I probably would have changed it just for that.
Okay, and I'm always so I have this hair that just never wants to do anything right. Even if I try to curl it under, it still wants to flip out.
Oh, I love your hair. I love your hair. I love short hair. No, seriously.
But what I was gonna say is Franny in the show, like you, it's always just there's not even a single hair out of place. Like, how do you do that?
Well, I have really straight hair, so my hair kind of wants to go that way, but it's just getting it cut. I mean, the cut is really it. If you had like really fine hair, it would work. If you had really curly or wavy hair, it probably wouldn't work, but I have really straight hair. So it's not that hard. It just looks hard. It's not.
Reba says she loves your hairstyle, right? Exactly. It's so
Hey,
great.
thank you, Reba.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
And Arzani's saying she wants Franny's clothes. I mean, that wardrobe. Come
Oh,
on.
well, I love her clothes are like amazing. I think they've won awards for the costumes on that show. I love her clothes. I have had opportunities to dress 20s to go to like different fundraising events and things, and it is my favorite. I would do it. I would go like that to the grocery store if I could. I mean, especially now when we can't go anywhere or dress up, I might as well, you know?
Right, totally. Stacia says there's the Miss Fisher Modern Mystery. Have you tried those? It's her
Yes, I
niece.
haven't watched that yet. That's like the swinging 60s. That could be really fun too. I have not watched that one yet. I have not
We've
had a
watched a
chance, but I want to
couple.
look. Oh, is it good?
It was good. Yeah. I haven't
Okay,
binged them
I'll
all
have to
yet, but
look.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, and I know they have a few nods to the original, so I have to check that out.
And then did you see the movie that came out this year?
I did. I watched it with my daughters, and actually today, it's not that easy to see, but I have her lipstick from the movie that I ordered from Australia because I'm insane. And and actually, I did watch it with my daughters. It was great. I have to say though that I really loved it, but the episodes of the TV show is better to me because more of the characters are in it. Like you got Dot, and then all these other people that weren't there. So, but it was fun. It was like very Indiana Jones. I mean, it was cool. I liked it.
I totally agree. I felt like, it was a little COVID gift, first of all, because we got Miss Fisher this year,
Yes,
right?
it was.
So I'm not going to
Yes.
complain. But I did feel like it was like slightly too long, maybe. Like the TV shows just seem so tight. Like
They're so
just
tight. Yep. Hmm.
yeah.
And I think I missed the Australia setting a little bit because that is such a big part of it. But it was fun in its own merits.
Totally.
I mean, I definitely liked it. But I agree with you. The TV show, there's something about that show. It's just so good. So anyone who
Okay.
hasn't watched it, give it a look. If you like the
That's
20s
right.
and you like strong, funny female characters, she's great.
She is all that and more. Okay, but we're actually here to talk about your books, not just Miss
Oh,
Fisher.
okay. All right.
So before we get to your 5 things, give us a little background on A Stew to Kill.
Okay, well, this one was really fun for me because I really like Halloween. So I set it in there's a Halloween week coming up. They're going to have a walk. There's a gala. There's a costume ball at an old ballroom in town that's got kind of spooky. And then there's all this stuff going on with the actual business scene because there's a big mall about to be built. And so they've got this cute, very charming town. They've got all these Halloween things planned. And then here comes this potential disaster. So they're kind of competing with all of that going on. My character, Kelly, has a lot of family issues. She's got an ex-boyfriend that comes into her life. There's murder right in one of the local businesses. She gets involved as always she does. She always has a good reason though. She's not just nosy. Well, she's that too. But so yeah, the setting is very Halloween. There's all Halloween things going on. But then there's a continuation of her life and her issues in her life. So it's a lot of fun. The setting is super fun. I hope people enjoy it. They say they do. So hopefully they will.
And your mysteries all have a Greek twist.
They do. They do. So Callie's a Greek American, but she's not full. She's like my husband, actually. That's kind of what inspired me with that. And also, I live in the Midwest, and there's a lot of restaurants that are owned by Greeks, and you would not think they are. So it's sort of interesting. You can usually tell, like, it'll just have a regular American food, and then there's like spanakopita, or there's something on there that you go, oh yeah, okay. And that I kind of wanted to bring into the series, like the Greek people, sometimes you think, oh, they live on the East Coast, or they're all over the Midwest, and they are making amazing food, and they are celebrating their culture, but also they're Midwesterners. So like my husband's family, they're from Detroit. So like they have those traditions, the Midwest, and then they have the Greek traditions. And I feel like that was a fun, unique thing to portray. And a lot of people seem to identify, because no matter what ethnicity, you could kind of fit that in there, how they celebrate the culture and within the realm that they're in. So that's really what I do in the books.
That's awesome. Okay, well, without further ado, are you ready to share your 5 things with us this morning?
Yes, this is a good segue, actually. So my first thing is that before I met my husband, I really never had Greek food. I was from a meat and potatoes family. I am not Greek. I didn't have it. And he brought me on an early date. They have a thing called a name day in Greece, and it's like the saint you were named after.
Did you say name
a name day?
Okay.
A name day. So he took me out to this place in Chicago for his name day. And I was like, what is this food? I feel like so deprived. It was so amazing because I did not grow up with eaters that were very adventurous. So we were not, doing a lot of that. The most adventurous thing was probably Italian food, to be honest with you. So this was like a revelation. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then his mom and his grandmother are amazing cooks. So I'm like, this man knows good food. So when we got, married, I'm like, okay, I need to start cooking this stuff. And I love it. And so I have learned all about how to bake, cook Greek food, and I love to do it. But I did not ever have a knowledge of it until I was in my 20s. So that's my little secret about that. And hopefully, according to the people anyway that are Greek, they say, oh, those are, the recipes are authentic. But the one thing to remember is that everybody has their own family recipe. So they might say, well, we do it this way, but then we have our family recipe. So basically, any way you do it is the right way. If your family did it that way, that's
I love it. Totally, that's fair.
That's my first thing.
Smart of you to scoop him up. You gotta love a man who can cook.
He cooks amazing. I mean, his brother too. Like his brother will make that whole lamb at Easter himself on a spit. I mean, it's crazy. I'm like, wow. But his dad cooks nothing. So I think they got the gene from their mom and his grandmother, because his grandmother was from Greece and she cooked. Oh my gosh, she was so good.
I love it.
So she kind of inspired me too, to be honest, with the books.
That's awesome. Well. Yeah. Okay, what is your number 2?
My number 2 thing is that I know a lot of writers start writing later, but I have been writing mysteries since I was a kid. Like I always loved mysteries. I love reading, to be honest, everything. But I loved Encyclopedia Brown. I loved the Bobbsey Twins. I read any young adult that was a mystery. I snapped it up, and then I started I'm like, well, I can write these. So I used to like to draw, and I would write them. I have a few of them still. I would get them, but my daughter's in the basement on Zoom learning, so I couldn't go down there this morning. I should have done it last night. Anyway, I still have a couple of them, and I look at them sometimes, and I'm like, wow, I've just a one-track mind. That I just started doing that, and I've always loved writing. So yes, I've been a mystery writer since I was about 8 years old.
I think it's in the blood. Same thing. I have my first mystery that I wrote in 2nd grade.
Oh my gosh, do you have it still?
I do.
Oh,
I do.
that's
My
so
mom
cute.
saved it. Yeah. My penmanship was much better back in the day. It's taken a dive.
So was mine. I think it's because we type so much now. We're really not writing by hand much anymore. Oh my gosh, that's so cute that you still have it. Isn't that fun to still have? You can show your kids and be like, see, So
I know,
anyway,
and it's funny because I think sometimes you don't even connect that necessarily, and then you look back and you're like, oh wait, I've been doing this for a really long time, maybe not even realizing it.
Oh yeah, that's how I entered. And we didn't have the internet back then, so it was drawing. I used to draw and write.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Everyone in the comments is chatting about, we got to take a little segue before we get to 3 because we're making everyone hungry. But I'm with everyone in the comments in terms of the food. But somebody wants to know if you know how to make baklava. I
do know how to make baklava. I do make it, but I can't make it anymore. My oldest daughter has nut allergies. So that's put a little bit of a wrench in making baklava. However, I did used to make it, and I don't anymore. That's the one thing I can't really make, unfortunately. And that's the one everyone knows. So a lot of times people say to me, why don't you have baklava in your books? And it's because I can't make it at home.
Fair enough.
So but here's the good news. There's a lot of stuff that recipes that I do offer that people don't necessarily know. And they're really easy to make, and they're good. So I feel like I can open that up to people a little bit, maybe to something they haven't heard about before. So that's kind of how I approach that one.
That's good. Someone else was commenting on like hummus and all that. Like I could, if my desert island food is hummus, like I could just live the rest of my
Oh
life
yeah.
on hummus alone. I'd be fine.
Hummus is amazing. I mean, I love to go to a Greek restaurant and they bring you the hummus like as the appetizer without even
Mm.
asking. That's my favorite kind of Greek restaurant. There's one, if anyone lives in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Greek Islands in Fort Lauderdale, best Greek restaurant with hummus in the country.
Whoa.
I'm going to go out on a limb. Yeah.
Okay. You're hearing it here, people. Jenny's telling us.
Yeah, it's really good. Tell them I sent you. Maybe they'll next time I go, if I ever get to go back to Florida. Yeah.
You need kickbacks. You'll be like, hey.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, moving on. What's your number 3?
Okay, my number 3 is that I have a Nordic wear pan addiction, and I need to stop. I have like a closet full of them. I love them. I do use them, but I obviously can't use them all of them in one year. So I think that's a sign that I need to stop. But I love bunt pans. I love shaped pans. And I have, like, I just bought another one, which I shouldn't have done. Haunted House. They have a Haunted House pan. I have a turkey. I know, right? It's really cute. I have a turkey. I have a Christmas tree. I have doll molds from when my kids were littler. Oh my gosh. So I'm addicted. And if I ever see Nordic wear, I have to like look away. Like if I'm on Instagram, like, just don't look at it. Just don't look at it because I'm going to want it.
I think you and I might have been separated at birth somehow because
do you love them too?
Yes.
You have that one book about with the bunt in the title, so yeah.
Yeah, so it
Absolutely.
was an excuse. I had to like really beef up my collection for that book, right? I mean, you know.
Of course. What are you supposed to do? You've got to be professional. I mean, to
Totally.
test these pans out.
Mm-hmm.
What's great about them, and I'm sure you probably agree, they look beautiful with very little effort. So like you just have to have a good recipe in there, and then it's going to look gorgeous.
That is my kind of.
That's what I like.
You just like flip it over. Oh, yeah. Okay, moving on.
Exactly. If you cannot have it great, it's good. Yep.
What's your number 4?
Oh, my number 4, we kind of talked about a little bit already. I love everything vintage. So I'm like, I love vintage clothes. I love vintage. I have a big vintage cookbook collection. Mostly 50s and 60s is kind of my thing. And I love Pyrex, although that's very expensive to collect the original Pyrex. I love everything vintage. And I incorporated it actually in A Stew to a Kill. One of my characters, she's Callie's coworker. And she always dresses very whimsical and vintage for every holiday. So she's got Halloween stuff. She's got Christmas. It's kind of like what I myself would love to wear every day. So she wears it for me. So yeah, I love everything about vintage. It's super, and I get a lot of inspiration out of it too. So yeah.
Did you grow up with like Pyrex and everything?
I did. Now when I look back, there was stuff that I probably have good memories with all that stuff, so that's why I love it. But there's stuff that I'm like, gosh, I wish I had that now. I don't know what happened to it. And I went to my sister's one day, and she had a whole bunch of Pyrex, and I said, "Oh, there you go. You got the Pyrex." So, but she can have it. It's okay. I have a really cool cake stand, so from the 50s, my grandmother gave me. So I'm good. But yeah, I think I did grow up with a lot of it, and it just, when you have good memories of that stuff, it just kind of, you want to keep going with it.
Yeah, I remember we had an estate sale for my grandmother, and at the time, like it hadn't come back into trend. And one of my cousins was like, "No, we have to keep all of this." And thank goodness she did, because
Smart cousin, yeah, because that stuff I mean, some of it, if it's more rare, it goes for a lot of money, and it's really cool stuff. It wears really well. You just can't put it in the microwave, people, not the old one. You can't do that. Don't do it. Or the dishwasher.
That's right. Okay, and last but not least, what's your number 5?
Well, number 5 is kind of fun because you started off that my favorite holiday as a kid was Halloween. Hands down. It really was not even the candy, to be honest. It was the dressing up. It was the going out on your own late, seeing all the decor, everybody's got their spooky stuff out, and I just loved that. And maybe because I'm a creative person, you can pretend to be somebody else, and it was just super fun. And to this day, I love Halloween. You were talking about decorating. I've got all my stuff out. I've got stuff inside, and I love it. So that's my other. And then it goes with my book that I'm giving away today too, which is Halloween themed. But yeah, that was my favorite. I mean, now I probably love Thanksgiving the most because that's just a really special holiday. You too?
Me too.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
as a kid, I mean, not even Christmas was great too, but I mean, Halloween, that was so special. So yeah.
So do you have a memory of like the favorite thing you dressed up for? Do you have a favorite costume from childhood?
I have, well, I do. Back when I was a kid, everybody was pretty basic,
Yeah.
sometimes they just, but my favorite was I was about 10 years old and I decided I was going to make a robot costume myself. I don't know where I even came up with that. I have no idea. And I made this and it took weeks. I'm putting, aluminum foil over this box and I'm creating dolls, whatever. And I go up to the door and this guy goes, "Oh my God, are you an atomic bomb? What are you?" And I'm like, "I'm a robot," so that was actually really fun though, that I made that myself. And then I redeemed myself with my younger daughter. She loved Doctor Who, so I made her a TARDIS. She was a TARDIS, and that was super fun. And they had a little Halloween parade at school, and all the adults, the kids didn't really even know what it was. She was like in 6th grade. The adults were like, "Can I take a picture of you?" And I was like, "Yay, I redeemed that ridiculous robot costume from back in the day."
That's right.
Yeah.
The tech guy is saying we had a Halloween party in college and we made him he was we all went as the cast for Wizard of Oz.
Oh, cool.
All of our roommates, but we were broke at the time, so we went to Goodwill and we made him his lion suit out of old toilet seat covers. Like, what were we thinking?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so bad.
That's a brave man right there.
That's right.
It's not only toilets, like you're getting it from Goodwill, so
exactly.
you gotta really.
Yeah.
You gave me some of my wipes that I was talking about
go.
before.
That's right. Yeah. My favorite childhood Halloween story, though, is kind of like yours, because the same thing. I was I grew up really in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s was my like trick-or-treating years. And my brother loved Mr. Rogers. And so he dressed up 4 years in a row as Mr. Rogers.
That's so cute.
So cute. The first year my mom had him in like a little cardigan and everything, and he would go up to the door and people had no idea who he was. So he was just so sad.
No, he's probably like crushed, but that's a great costume. I love that he was Mr. Rogers. That's really cute. Yeah, you see a kid in a sweater, you're probably like, "Oh, your mom made you cover up your costume with a sweater. What are you?"
Right? Yeah, exactly. Lillian says we dress up every year since her son's birthday is Halloween. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Hi, Lillian. Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
And Disney's Incredibles for the whole family. That's amazing. I love it.
That is a great family costume. Awesome.
Okay. And wait, my mom dressed me up as a trash can one year. Got a green trash can, but cut the bottom out, cut holes, tied them into my head.
That is so funny.
She put on a sign.
I love that. That's creative. Dash your trash.
That's great.
Oh, I love that. People, you can buy anything now, but people used to really have to get creative, and actually that was a lot of fun. So
I think so too. Yeah. We still make all of our own costumes at our house every year. Ashland has normally a giant Halloween parade where literally the entire town dresses up because the Oregon Shakespeare Festival is here. So, all of the actors
amazing.
All out.
Oh my goodness.
Not this year. Sad.
Well, you know what? Just think about the next year they're able to do it. These people are going to be like amazing. So
that's right.
I guess look forward to it. But yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And I love the Shakespeare tie-in as well. That sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on, I have 5 questions for you. And, you better, this is like hard hitting. So serious. Okay. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm good. I know.
We still have a couple costumes coming in. Snow White and her apple and a pocket watch. Ooh,
that sounds pretty tricky.
Yeah. You're going to have to share a picture of that, Cheryl, a pocket watch. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, definitely. Neat.
Love it. We'll have to have a Halloween party, everybody, later in the month and share our costumes. Okay, great. So moving on to my so hard-hitting questions. My first question is, dun, dun, dun. What do you think has been the most unexpected thing that you found about being a mystery writer?
Ooh, probably how difficult it is to keep the story from, you want to keep who the culprit is from the readers, but you don't want to throw them off too much. So kind of that balance has been the trickiest. I try to do that. I really enjoy when I read a book and I don't know, but then I can look back and go, oh, I think everyone enjoys that. That's kind of the fun of it. So that's probably the most challenging. I guess unexpected only in the sense that until you start doing it, you don't realize how hard it is, because it looks so easy if someone does it. Wow, my favorite writers, right? And you're like, oh, wow. But yeah, that's probably the most unexpected. But then just being a writer in general, just the great feedback that how positive this whole community of mystery lovers is. I mean, we're writing about murder mysteries, but the people couldn't be lovelier. So, who read them. So that's kind of been unexpected too, how welcoming and warm the readers have been.
I totally agree with that. Okay, moving on to question number 2. What do you think is the biggest myth of mystery writing?
Oh gosh. I guess mystery writers are these really kind of intense people who really sit all day like having amazing ideas and thoughts about, and really that's not the case.
No.
You get inspiration from a lot of things, but like I feel like most of the mystery writers that I know are super funny. Like we're writing about death and murder and and people deceiving each other, but as a group of people, we're pretty fun. That's just kind of a myth, I think, that people you get that picture of someone with like a quill in their hand, or they're very intense. So no, yeah, like that, exactly.
There's a lot of like brooding somehow, yeah.
Brooding. Thank you. That's the word. So yeah, so that's not true. If anyone's interested, at least in my experience.
I back that up 100%. Yeah. And in fact, I remember the first time I went to BoucherCon, I met the editor of Publishers Weekly, and he was like, I only want to be where the mystery writers are, because, free fiction people are way too serious. Like the mystery writers are all fun.
That's great. Well, yeah, because I mean, we have to be, and if you think about it, we have to find a way to make our books entertaining and lighter and fun and solve a puzzle at the same time you're dealing with weighty issues. So yeah, we kind of have to be that way, wouldn't we? That's a great point on that guy's part. Yeah.
I know. Just ask Publishers Weekly. Obviously, he knows. Carolina says, lovely, warm people all united around murder. That's right.
Right? Well, I actually have a book about that coming out. That kind of is what it's about. I can talk about that later.
Okay, yay. All right, moving on to number 4. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, if you had to pick any celebrity. No, we were on 4. Yeah. If you had to pick one celebrity you would die to see reading your book. So let's say you're flying, you get on a plane, and you sit down and you look across the aisle and someone is reading A Stew to Kill or one of any book in the series. Who is it?
Okay, this wouldn't happen, but probably the person you mentioned earlier, which is Colin Firth, because actually he's a writer as well.
Right.
I'd probably drop dead because or Dave Franklin or like David Tennant, any of them, be like, oh my God, they're reading my book. I mean, I would probably, freak out about that. That would be pretty funny. And like I said, I don't think that Cozy Mysteries necessarily would be reading mine, but you never know. I mean, if that happens someday, yeah.
I feel like it could happen. I mean, he's getting up there in age. Maybe he's wanting a little cozier escape.
He could be. I know he writes. I've read one of his short stories in a Nick Hornby collection. He was very good. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to say to readers, be sure to start, if you have specific questions for Jenny, start putting them in the comments, because we have that little delay. So once we wrap up my 5 questions, I will get to yours too. Okay, moving on to number 5. This is going to be a hard-hitting one for you. What do you think is the perfect drink and food item to pair with your books?
Okay, so I'm going to have to say, if you're in a savory mood, well, let's say, I would say the spinach pie and a nice white wine to go with that. If you're in that mood. If you're in you want like the baked goods kind of a mood, I would say one of the things that Callie makes in her kitchen every day is loukoumades, which are Greek donuts. And they're like amazingly delicious, then that with coffee. So either one of those I would say would be the perfect thing.
So like if it's later in the afternoon, we're going to go with a slice of spinach pie and a nice crisp white wine. But if it's morning,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
that's how I feel because I feel like those are very, I have both of those in my books. In almost every book, someone's eating one of those two things. So I feel like that would really fit.
That's awesome. Okay, now I'm second guessing myself. Did I do 3? Did we miss one for you?
I don't know. I thought we did it.
Oh no,
Oh no,
he's
we didn't do
right.
that one. We didn't do that
Oh,
one.
see, darn it. Now he's
See,
going to
he's
want to decorate
good.
for Christmas. Shoot. Ah, I hate that. Okay, sorry. We're going back to 3.
Okay.
We're all off today, folks. Okay, what's your best advice for anyone who wants to write a mystery?
Okay, well, first of all, I would say read a lot of mysteries, and just really start tuning into the world around you. All of my best plots or ideas have come from just I'm going about my business and something occurs to me that, oh, that could be fun. That could be a great, oh, this is going to sound really morbid, but that'd be a really great place to find a body. Yeah, like so, so I know that's terrible. But yeah, just sort of like reading a lot and taking notes and taking note of what's going on around you. You'll get a lot of ideas. And that is probably for me the best advice I could give. And also just write it. Don't worry, like if it's not good, just write it. And then you can always go back and edit it and get people to help you with it.
Absolutely. So true. So true. And reading, I always say that's always my first advice. If you want to write, you got to read what you want to write.
Yes, absolutely. It's really helpful. I mean, if you don't want to copy people, obviously, if I'm writing, I try not to read a lot of cozy mysteries because I really don't want to, inadvertently pick up something. But I think that it's just really good to know the genre because they all are very specific. And so if you kind of know it, you're going to be great.
Right. I love that. Okay, we got some questions rolling in. Although before I get to some of the first reader questions, I have to ask you, I was going to ask you at the beginning when I was talking about our boy Colin and Miss Fisher. My other question for you is, what about the Durrells in Corfu? Because the Greek islands, have you seen that one yet?
Yes. Well, I have seen that one. I love the Keely Hawks is the actress. I love her. She's the mom. I actually haven't seen all of those. My husband loves Lawrence Durrell. So I am so behind on so many shows, I have to say. It's just, this writing thing, right, gets in the way. But I have the Durrells. There's a Durrell cookbook that I have. That I think is based on the show, I think, and because it's all based on true stories. But yes, that is a good one. I have seen a few episodes, and they are fabulous. I've watched them with my husband, and he's been all over Greece and all that stuff, so he really liked it too. So thank you for reminding me. That's a good one. That's a good one to get back into.
Another binge worthy. I love them. It's so perfect escapism right now too, because
it's gorgeous scenery too. It's just great.
Yeah. Okay, Helen wants to know who is your favorite author?
Oh my gosh, Helen. If I'm going to say all-time favorite author, I don't know. I should have been ready for this question, right? I can't really pick one. I will say an author that I would read anything of is Ruth Rendell, who she's passed away the last few years, but she's a British author, and I've really never read a book of hers that wasn't amazing. She writes for psychological suspense. She has a detective series as well, Detective Wexford, if anybody knows the series of all of his. And she wrote a lot of standalones. So I would say I've read probably all the books. So I guess I'd have to pick her. But I have so many favorite authors that it's hard.
It's impossible. I know. Right? I think that question was for me too. And I don't know if I can answer it either. I mean, I have some all-time favorites in Jane Austen and like the classics, of course. I really love Catherine Mansfield, who was a New Zealand poet. I love her poetry. And I think that sort of like always seeps into my head a little bit when I'm writing or like trying to center myself into a story. But there's so many good books in so little time.
Absolutely. And then of course, all the cozy mysteries out there. I love all of those and I read them all. I mean, I can't even read everything that is out there, but I try.
Right. Okay, so Lily Ann wants to know, have you ever killed off a character that that later you realized they would fit nicely in a different book, but it was too late?
Ooh, that's a great question. Not yet. I'm going to keep that in mind. No, not yet. I could see where that would happen. I could see that happening, but no. And I think that's something that I would try hard not to do because I do kind of have ideas for characters where they're going to come in later. But yeah, that's a great question. I'm sure that could happen easily. So thank you, Liliane. I will really, really make a note of that.
Okay, Jamie wants to know which literary character would you most like to share a drink with? Oh, that's for both of us again. Good. I'm going to make you go first, Jenny. You're my guest. Then I have time to think.
Literary could have a drink with. How about, well, one of my favorite books is The Great Gatsby. So how about Jay Gatsby? Because he was a fascinating character and he would definitely be up for a cocktail. He would have, that was the 20s, so they would have it all there. So yeah, that would be cool.
That's a good one. I'm gonna stick with my classic. I'm gonna go Elizabeth Bennet, tea. We'd spill the tea together. You know, we'd be very proper in our Elizabethan gowns. Emma, Empire Waists. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she would be good.
Yeah.
You could have a lot with her. Yeah. You could dish about Darcy.
We could dish about Darcy. I wonder what she would think of Colin Firth. Is he a match? Is he not a match?
Well, I think she'd be okay with him.
Okay, and Carolina wants to know, as far as methods of murder, how do you choose it? There are so many methods. It is true.
Oh, that is so good. That's a great question. I just had to wrestle with that in this current book I'm writing. Okay, so I really want to choose something that doesn't seem impossible and that would sort of fit the character that committed the crime. So I also don't want to repeat anything. Like I'm not going to have the same method of death 2 books in a row. So I try to find things that are going to fit the character and the situation. They can be like the one I came up with recently is kind of creative, let's say, but it would fit the situation. So I try not to I want to make it believable because these are real people and they're living their real lives. And most of the time these murders are not planned out, but sometimes they are. And that would depend as well. Is the murder planned a long time in advance? That may be a different way of murder too. So that's my answer to that. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so you are going to give away a copy of the Halloween themed A Stew to Kill, right?
Yes. Yes,
so
I am.
While I ask you the next question, the tech guy is going to pick a winner and then we'll announce that in a minute.
Yeah, great.
Okay, so I know readers want to know more about this series, etc. Like what's coming up next, where can they find you, all that good stuff.
Okay, so what's coming up next? This year has been a little bit unpredictable, as we all know. So I've been having a little trouble keeping to my deadlines. Anyway, I have one book that I've almost completed, completely new series. So that one I'm working on. And then the Callie's Kitchen Mysteries, I have book 5 in the works. That's going to come out in 2021. I am shooting for probably March at the latest. That one is set in Greece. That is a departure for Callie. She's going to Greece. If anyone's read the books, they know what's happening. And she's going there. And that is going to be so much fun. I've done a lot of research. And I think people are going to really like that. That's what's next for her. So that's book 5 in that series. And then I have another series I'm just starting.
Exciting.
Yeah.
And if readers want to find you, we will share your info when we repost this, but you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm Instagram and Facebook mostly. I don't do a lot of Twitter. I'm mostly Instagram and Facebook. And then you can find all my books on Amazon. And currently I'm on the Kindle Unlimited, but that's probably going to change in the next year. So, but right now, all of my books are on Kindle Unlimited.
Nice. Okay, I think we have a winner. Are you ready?
Yes.
Stacia Mento, I hope that's right, Mento Maloney?
Yay!
So what I'll have you do is send me a private message and I will pass it on to Jenny and she'll send you your copy. How fun.
Great. Hope you enjoy it, Stacia.
I bet she will. And it's Halloween. That's so great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Jenny. It's been a blast.
Oh, I'm so happy to finally get to talk to you in person, sort of. And thank you for inviting me. I hope everyone enjoyed and I had a great time. Thanks again.
Happy writing.
Thank you.